What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode. And we are beginning the month of May here in 2034 with our expansion team in OOTP 25, the Mobile Bay Bears. And we are off to a hot start. We are 18-9 through the first month of the season, and we did so with some pretty serious injuries to some key players in our are on our team. Two from the pitching staff and two from the offensive side of the ball. Our starting shortstop and our starting right fielder both injured themselves, one with a fractured hand and one with a torn groin. They were going to be out 7 to 8 weeks. They currently have 2 weeks remaining, so we're close to getting them back. And then Ethan Wheeler, we also lost for roughly 2 weeks with forearm tendonitis. And for those of you that have been watching, Mr. Josh Leeson once again out for the season, this time throwing 7 pitches in his major league debut, finally getting his debut and tearing a ligament in his elbow. So likely could be the only 7 pitches he's going to throw in this organization. If he is of any trade value once he returns, I might move on from him. He's just getting so expensive. I don't know if it's worth it. One could say that he, might not be injured anymore once he comes back, but I just think that's extremely unlikely. Unfortunate because he turned out to be a absolute stud when it came to his ratings, and he's getting paid cheap compared to what he should be with ratings like this. So hopefully he's still got some trade value. I might go ahead and get him off the books because we're still going to pay him for another 6 years. Right before this injury, there was plenty of teams that were still willing to take on that contract because I think it still is a favorable contract, assuming he can produce at some point with his profile. It's not a bad contract. It's just a matter of him staying healthy, which he just has refused to do when he got to the major league level. So, very good chance we move on from him. We shall see when he comes back healthy and see what value is out there for him. But yeah, it is time to get May underway, and hopefully, May will turn into what April was like, in the fact that we did extremely well in the majority of the categories in April and had an 18-9 month. If we can repeat that a couple of times this season, I'll like where we're at come the end of the season. More than likely back into the playoffs for the second time and hopefully make another deep run. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at the schedule, see what we got on tap for the month of May, and get this thing rolling. We have looks like Minnesota for 3 at home. Then we go on the road to Los Angeles to play the Angels, and then we get Kansas City back home and Cleveland. Then we go on the road to Boston, on the road to New York, on the road to Toronto for 4. And then we finish out the month with Washington and Chicago. So a pretty big road trip for us there. That's the American League East right there. That's a pretty substantial road trip for us. So really, really need to play well during that stretch and hopefully can do some damage against the American League East. And the hits just keep coming, guys. Our best pitcher, Walkie Boer, is now out for the season. He tore his UCL and will be out for 8 to 9 months. Absolutely devastating. Just dominant last year, his rookie campaign, and then again dominant this year 5-0 start with a 1.35 ERA and 6 starts, just dominating the competition, and he is done for. Can't make it up. It's unfortunate. We are what's going on is unpredictable, and it is what it is. But man, oh man, what a season start to our pitching staff. So 23-year-old, so we're lucky there. We will have to dig into the minor leagues and see what we can come up with, and hopefully we can somewhat replace this guy, but that's not going to happen. But just really unfortunate. We're having a tough time with these arms. I don't know if it's my trainer, but I really haven't had that many issues with pitching this, before now. Leeson comes up, and now Booer's having issues. So maybe I'll look at my trainer or something. I don't know if it's just a string of bad luck, but here we are. 23-year-old lefty, next great pitcher, and out for the season. So good news is he'll be back in time for next year and hopefully can stay healthy. And we've made our call up, and it is the international free agent that we signed this year. You guys might remember Dong Hyun Im. We signed him to that minor league deal that became a major league guarantee once he was called up. Unfortunately, it was $2.2 million. So hopefully, hopefully he does well for us. We like his stuff. We just worry about maybe the home run rate and his control a little bit, but he's got good pitches. Just hopefully he can keep his home runs down. Hasn't done great in AAA, but maybe he does good up here. We'll see. But we desperately need a guy that can be in the rotation for the rest of the year. So he's kind of our only option in AAA. There's maybe another option that's in the bullpen that we could go to, but that's the option that we have currently. So let's hope for the best. And the hits kind of keep coming. Mike Flores, our starting right fielder, he's going to be out for about 5 weeks. He's got a little shoulder problem, so we went ahead and put him on the injured list. And it kind of was at the if it were a perfect time for it to happen, it was then, because we got Juan Cardenas back off the injured list as well, and we went ahead and put him at shortstop, and then we moved Javorsky Lane back to right field because he was playing shortstop. So it worked out. Additionally, I've made another little shift in the lineup. Nate Aguilar is hitting pretty miserably. So what I'm doing is I'm going to start him as DH versus righties, and then I'm going to platoon the DH role with Dakota Meredith, who is hitting substantially better, a little more balanced hitting profile. So against lefties, he's going to be the DH, and then against righties, Aguilar is going to be the DH. And then Aguilar will also continue to be the backup outfielder in the corners. So just a little switch up to see if maybe I can get a little bit more offense out of the team. We're 24-13, so we're still playing good ball despite all of the injuries. So I am happy with that. Additionally, it looks like Dong Hyun Im is going to make his second start, but his first start wasn't terrible. It was actually pretty solid. It was a quality start. 3 earned runs over 7 innings. Did have 8 Ks. So a very good debut for him. Hopefully he can continue that, and our rotation can continue to do really well. Overall, our pitching is doing well. One kind of issue is Alexis Loretto, but he hasn't pitched since April 29th, so Maybe the coach realizes he's not doing so hot, so he's giving him a break. But at some point, he needs to bring that ERA down from a 15. Everyone else is pretty good except for Jimmy Boswell, who also hasn't pitched in about a week and a half. So um, definitely need to bring him down, his ERA down a little bit too. But hopefully they can do that over the course of the next couple weeks, and we can get some guys healthy. Brendan Rohr is really kind of struggling at the plate, so it'll be good we get back Mr. Isaac Cardenas when we get him back in like a day. So we will go ahead and probably let him do a little bit of a rehab assignment if we can. And then we'll bring him back up and put him in the spot where Mr. Rohr is struggling. So overall, not a bad offensive team. They're really hitting well. Besides a couple of guys, most of the players have close to 300 averages. So our offense is really thriving right now, and our pitching staff is doing well too. Besides, one starter and then two guys in the bullpen. So all in all, not gonna complain. And we just need to try to get healthy and then stay that way and continue to play good ball. And we did get Mr. Nate Wheeler back from the injured list. Sorry, not Nate Wheeler, Ethan Wheeler. Got him back from the injured list. We're going to go ahead and put him back in the bullpen, and we sent down Mr. Boswell to try to develop a little bit more. Still struggling. He came up last year briefly, struggled, and then he came up this year briefly and has struggled again. So hopefully, him pitching in AAA, he can figure some things out. He is a lefty for us. Gave us four lefties in the bullpen. I don't typically like to go with four. I usually like three, but he was kind of like a we needed him type deal. So gonna send him back down and see if he can't round out his development. And then Mr. Wheeler is going to go back into a middle relief role. And yeah, hopefully can provide a boost to our bullpen, and we can continue to play good ball. And we just got back Isaac Cardenas, so we have gotten back the two Cardenases that got hurt in the beginning of the season, and hopefully they can snap back in and get rolling quickly. We have lost a few games in a row, 3 games in a row, so we lost 2 out of 3 from Cleveland and lost the first game at Boston. So we're now in the midst of that very important run for us through the American League East. So hopefully we can win these last 2 games against Boston and then go to New York and Toronto and really start playing better ball here in May. But good to get those 2 guys back, and hopefully they get rolling quickly. And unfortunately, it wasn't the greatest road trip for us. We went 4-6 on that road trip, so definitely not what we wanted. I guess the good news is we won 2 in a row, so hopefully we can get back on track. But really struggling, got just absolutely obliterated 2 days ago, 14-0, and then had a close loss in 2 10-inning games. So some tough luck there, but overall just not playing where we want to be, and our pitching is starting to slip a little bit. Dong Hyun M has a 6.65 ERA, so he has not done so well in 4 starts with us. Had 1 decent start, and then I'll say 2 decent starts and 2 really bad starts, and that's kind of contributed to where he's at right now. Hopefully he can continue to have more decent starts than bad ones, but right now it's not looking so great. Artem Alvarado Also struggling a little bit this year in 10 starts. He's got a 5.08 ERA. So a little bit of struggle. Hopefully he can get back to where he was last year. But right now he's kind of hovering around where he was his rookie year. And that's mostly because of his walk rate. Although it is down almost a full point since last year. So numbers are suggesting that he's getting a little unlucky. He's got a 3.26 ERA or Sierra. So hopefully that swings back into our favor. But yeah, we are continuing on here. Looks like we have Washington for 3 and then Chicago for 3, and that'll round out the month of May. All right, we have completed the month of May, and it wasn't the type of month that we really wanted. Coming off of a great month in April, we finished 13 and 15 in the month of May, so just below 500 there. Unfortunate, but not a terrible month. I guess it could have been worse. I thought we were playing pretty bad there for a minute. We are 31 and 24. The Pythagorean record suggests we should be 32 and 23, so we're right around that. We are 20 and 14 on the road and 11 and 10, or excuse me, 11 and 10 on the road and 20 and 14 at home. So we still playing decent ball even on the road. We're just not finishing off games right now, and it just tells me that it's kind of the pitching staff. If I had to guess, the starting pitching is kind of struggling right now. Um, Prior to the month starting, everyone was in the threes except for Artem. And the only one that's really pitching well right now is Matt Simbrat, and he is pitching quite well. He won the pitcher of the month, or I guess the rookie of the month award. So that is good news. He had a 2.14 ERA. He went 3-1. He struck out 33 batters in 33 and two-thirds innings and held opponents to a 198 average. So hopefully he keeps that up because we need it badly. Bullpen, again, pitching pretty good. Loretto has slowly brought his ERA down. I'm gonna need a little bit more. Otherwise, I might dip into the AAA. I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt because of the season he had last year for us. But we're getting far enough into the season where I should see a much better ERA than that, even though he's only pitched in 11 appearances. So we'll see going forward, but we are 31 and 24 entering the month of June. We are a half game back from the Detroit Tigers and a game ahead of the Blue Jays. So we're currently sitting in the second place in the wild card. Um, yeah, overall, not a terrible start to the season. Mason Davis has cooled off, so has Jorge Rivera. Mason's hitting 267. Rivera's hitting 286. The one person that really hasn't cooled off is Vicente Jasso and Nate or Danny Fouts. Danny Fouts is hitting 302. Um, Excellent there. He has 0 home runs, which is a little odd because he's had almost 10 home runs each of the first 2 seasons. But he's got 3 triples and 16 doubles and 14 stolen bases. So he's doing well for us in the leadoff spot. And Vicente Jasso is hitting 325 as a 140 WRC plus, has 8 home runs, 26 RBIs, just doing absolutely God's work for us behind the plate and in the batter's box right now. So having an excellent season, and hopefully he can continue that as we go forward. But that is the month of May, and now we need to roll through June. And we are about halfway through the month of June, actually a little over halfway, June 19th. And we aren't playing terrible. We started off the month extremely hot, as you can see. Won the first 3 games against Pittsburgh, then took 2 out of 3 against Tampa Bay and 2 out of 3 against Detroit. But we have scuffled a little bit and got swept by Baltimore and then bounced back and took 2 out of 3 from Boston. So overall, a 9-7 month to this point. We have our expansion team foe next at the Salt Lake City Saints. Hopefully, we can finish out the month rather strong and kind of repeat what we did, or close to what we did in April, and not what we did in May. But overall, going better this month than it was in May. Injuries have just kind of slowed down. Nothing crazy. Some injuries have piled up here in the minor leagues. Nothing too terrible. There is one got a 8 month ruptured ulnar collateral ligament. Not a huge prospect though. And then that's pretty much the worst one. No crazy prospects on here getting hurt, so that is good news. We're gonna sim through the month here, and then before we get to the draft or the All Star game, we'll take a look at the development, player development, and our prospects. We'll kind of go through some of them and see how their seasons are going, and hopefully we can uh, look at promoting some guys or get close to that spot at least. I like to kind of keep my minor leaguers progressing through. If they're playing well, I like to kind of give them the next level sometimes. Although there are times where you should probably leave them there. We can talk about those later on, but basically it has to do with the coaches and um, how happy the player is on that team and the other players around them. But more times than not, it's not going to hurt them too much if you just bump them up and keep giving them that increased level of competition. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at in June. Just want to check in with you guys, and I will keep going. And hopefully, nothing of note needs to be recorded. No injuries or anything like that, and we can finish out this month and get into July. And we made it to July 1st, and not a great month, but it was a better month than May. We didn't do as well as I'd hope, but we still finished over 500 at 14 and 13 on the month. As you can see, we struggled just in the series. We would lose 2 out of 3 in all the series just about. We did take 2 out of 3 from San Diego. Barely. We took the last game in 10 innings and then won one and lost one in the last 2 games in July against Minnesota. So we have 2 more games against Minnesota. Hopefully, we can win that series. And then we will finish up the first half with a home trip. We will host the New York Yankees and then the Baltimore Orioles before the All Star break. Also, we have the first year player draft on the 11th, which is the same day as the All Star game. So, looking forward to draft day as well. I do want to update you guys on a couple things. We do have a couple of injuries, one of which is really small, but still significant. It is Jeff Middleton. He strained his oblique. It says he's only going to be out for 3 days. Hopefully that's the case, but he is our closer and he is pitching extremely well for us this year, and well, has always pitched well. As long as he stayed healthy, he has pitched well. So this year is the second most games he's pitched with us. So he's getting definitely a heavy dose of use, and it's not ideal for a fragile guy. But up until just now, he was all completely healthy all season. So just 3 days. Let's hope that is all it is, and he is back with us. Also, we have Camden Koziel, our backup middle infielder, if you will. He is pending a diagnosis. It's something to do with his back, so that could be pretty serious, or it could be just something minor. I've seen those go both ways, but he is kind of a depth guy, so not a huge loss. We do have more of those in the minor leagues, so if something were to be serious, then we would likely be able to replace that pretty easily. Um, Gunnar Sechka is holding down the fort, although I will be honest, I have contemplated moving someone else into his spot. He is the captain. I do need to keep him on the team, but he's got a negative WAR right now, and he's barely hitting over the Mendoza line. Pretty sure he has like the worst batting average on the team. In fact, he does. Um, Cardenas, Isaac, that is, Cardenas is right behind him at 214, so definitely need to get those guys going. Everyone else is hitting rather well. Vicente Jasso has cooled off back down to 287, but 13 home runs. Jorge Rivera's hitting decent, 285. Only has 11 home runs, so he's down quite a bit from last year after he hit 40 home runs. Mason Davis hitting about where he typically is, 256. That's where he's been, the 250s to 270s throughout his career. Last year was kind of the anomaly, down to 232. But he does have 16 home runs, so he is on pace to hit that 30 home run mark, and hopefully he can get 20 still in stolen bases too. That um, seems to have eluded him for the majority of his career during the seasons. I do believe he's had it once. I don't think he's had it twice. He has not. So he has had one 20-30 season or 30-20 season and just couldn't get that 20th steal in the other seasons that he hit 20 or 30 home runs. But this year he's at 16 home runs and 13 stolen bases before about a week before the All-Star break. So hopefully he can add on a few of those in each category before the All-Star break and come back and finish out the season strong and have a bounce back year. Really looking forward to seeing where he ends up this year. And yeah, he will creep up on that 200 home run mark. More than likely will not get it till next year. I don't see him hitting 26 more home runs. I could be wrong, but if he does, I'm gonna love where we're probably at as a team. But more than likely will be a next year milestone for him, the 20 or the 200 home runs, as well as the 1,000 career hits. So good could be a good year for him next year, and maybe 100 career stolen bases as well. So a lot of milestones coming up for our franchise guy, Mr. Mason Davis. But yeah, I just wanted to give you guys quick updates on some players. It looks like Simbrat is turning out to be our best pitcher this year at a 3.17 ERA, 16 starts. 9 of those have been quality starts. He's got a 7-5 win-loss record, so still developing as a player. And sky's the limit, I think, for him as well, as long as he can stay healthy. All the other pitchers are somewhat struggling. Hopefully that can trend back in the right direction, especially in the starting rotation. The bullpen is fine. Alexis Loreto has brought his ERA down significantly, and he still hasn't pitched a ton, but he's pitching every once or twice a week. So he's slowly pitching better and better, and he's getting that ERA back down. So he's doing well as of late, and I will keep him where he is at until I feel like enough is enough. But as of late, that ERA has gone down from like 11 or 12 down to 7. So I think he is trending in the right direction. Our best performer so far is Marquise Bess, a just dominant year so far with a .47 ERA in 28 games. He's got 10 holds and 19 innings pitched. He is primarily used as a lefty specialist. I don't know if he has. Let's see. Oh, it's right here. He has a 0 ERA against lefties and 9.2 innings pitched, just absolutely lights out, and a .96 against righties. So definitely a guy that is extremely valuable in the bullpen, and a big pickup for us whenever we traded for him 2 years ago. So really good to see. Hopefully he can continue that. I don't ever foresee him filling out that profile. He's 27 years old. I think that's just what he's going to be, but it just proves to it just gives you proof that just because they're a two-star doesn't mean they can't be extremely beneficial for you and your team. I mean, he in the past 3 years in the major leagues, he's had a 2.48 ERA, a 2.12 ERA, and then this year he's at a .47. So, and he's had pretty decent amount of innings considering he's like a specialist and things like that. So, very, very helpful for a team, and don't always go off the stars. But yeah, let's get to some of the farm system players and give some updates. All right, we'll go through a couple of these players. First and foremost is our top prospect, Juan Cisneros. He's the number 6 overall prospect in baseball. Um, Obviously, the potential power and contact ratio is going to strike out a little bit, but um, we love the power option, and not great, but he does have a 106 WRC plus in A ball. I would love to get him to high A ball this year. He's only 19 years old, so we still have time. Um, he's just not quite ready for high A ball, I don't think. I'll give it another month or so and see what we can do. He's unhappy, so there's that. He's got a poor relationship with his manager, but a good relationship with his hitting coach. Um, he is unhappy, so I could move him up. I'll give him a little bit more time. It does have that 106 WRC plus, which I like to see over 100 for a very good sample size, and he does have that in both years, so that is promising. And his average is up a little bit this year, so he is producing a little bit more, but still really young, 19 years old. The other one that we're kind of disappointed in is Alvaro Vega. Just never can get him to do much. This is his best year, arguably. It is his 4th year in low A, and he's 21 years old, and still got some time to develop out that profile, but he's running out of time. He is running out of time, and he's hitting 188 this year. Does have a 103 WRC plus with a 1.2 WAR, so I don't know where that's coming from, but really been just kind of disappointed with his progression, and hopefully it turns around because I would love for him to be a Juan Rivera replacement type of guy or something like that, or Jorge Rivera. So we'll see. I do love his switch hitting, and he plays a decent corner outfield and has a decent pop for a corner outfielder too. So definitely a guy that, if developed completely, he would be a good person for us in the corners of the outfield. Now it's just a matter of waiting for that to happen, and I have been waiting patiently, but patience is running thin. Another one that's playing really well is David Medina. He's playing well 3 years in a row in rookie ball, and I really do want to promote him. I'm just probably gonna do it anyways, but he's just not quite there. And for whatever reason, like his ratings just aren't there. But maybe if I bump him up, he will be. But he's got a great relationship with his hitting coach and his manager, so something tells me maybe I should keep him there. This past year, we got a really good positive jump in his ratings in May, so maybe this time in a month or two, there's another good update, and he is ready for A ball. We can hope. All right. Next is Raimondi. I will highlight him because I moved him up not too long ago, and he is struggling pretty mightily. But at the same time, he was just dominating the competition. I felt like at the A ball level, I had a 122 ERA plus, so I felt like I just needed to move him up. And his ratings were really good for the high A ball. So we'll see if he can turn that around. I am in no rush with him either. He just turned 21, so he's right on pace. Maybe he can turn things around and then next year start the year in double A and potentially be in the rotation in like 2 to 3 years. He's a ground baller and has potentially just lights out stuff. So we'll see. Uh, Hopefully he can turn things around in high A. Luis Castillo is playing well. Also, uh, probably need to bump him, but I believe he just isn't. He's not bad. A little low on the power, but he is playing extremely well. He's got a 195 WRC plus with 1100 OPS, so I think we should probably bump him to double A. Yeah, let's just go ahead and do it. Go ahead and bump him. We'll see what old Luis can do in double A. Steve Geiger, just trying to find a spot on the team, and just unfortunately, I just don't have a spot. So I'm kind of in that position where it's like, do I keep him in triple A and just have him as depth, or do I potentially use him as a trade piece? He can really only play first and third base. Maybe if I tried him in left field, he could be all right, but that's probably not gonna be worth it. Has some really good trade value. So as you can see, plenty to choose from as I go down through this list. So maybe it's something I look into. Tell me what you guys think. If you think I should try to move on from him. Just doesn't play a position that we need. Third base is the only other position he plays besides first base. First base is locked up. I could potentially use him as the designated hitter, although memory serves me correctly. Our DH is playing pretty well. He's hitting 276 with 10 home runs, 34 RBIs, a 121 WRC plus. So he has a very similar hitting profile to Geiger and also doesn't play very many bases. But the reason I went with him, doesn't play very many positions, sorry, not bases. But the reason I went with him was the speed. His speed and base stealing ability is far superior than that of Geiger's. Geiger's has no speed. So that's kind of where I was at. And it's kind of where I'm still at. So it's a tough call, but that speed doesn't do much. It just really doesn't. So I don't know. It's a tough call. Let me know what you guys think. Maybe I just leave him there as depth. That's probably the plan, at least for this year. Arturo Avalos is another guy that is very, very close to going to AAA. I just have him in double A because he's doing well and he's progressing well in double A, and you can see like his profile is starting to build out, and we really like what we see from him. He's just not quite there with the stuff in triple A, and I don't want him to go there and just get dominated. But at the same time, he's not that far off. So I think it's very, very conceivable that within the next month, maybe two, that he's in AAA, and yeah, getting danger close to being next in line for our rotation spot after an injury, or after we have to lose someone to free agency, like Mr. Ricks. All right, I know I said we'd only go through a few, and it seems like we're going through all of them. Um, Esteban Ramirez, another pitcher that's developing well. Pitched 2 years in rookie ball, finally did well last year in rookie ball, and then I moved him up to A ball. He's pitching solid there as well. So all things are going well with him. Let's take a look at his South Atlantic potential. Still a little bit to work on here. Not so concerned with the curveball and the control because he has all those other pitches that are major league quality. Curveball and the splitter, excuse me. I'm more concerned about the control and the stuff. If he can get that up just a little bit, then we could look at moving him up the ladder as well. So pitching wise, we are looking great for the future. Another great pitching prospect is Diamine Balke. Drafted him last year as our first round pick and started out in A ball last year, and then I bumped him to high A ball this year, and he's pitching well, really well. 3.07 ERA. Apparently, I need another scouting report on him. And yeah, he's starting to develop well and could be a mid to back end of the rotation kind of guy, or a closer, or a stopper, or something like that. Haven't decided, but I'm sure he's going to want to be a starter. But we'll see what his expectations are. Right now, there are no expectations. He is unhappy, and I don't know why. He's got good relationships. Maybe he's just happy because he is not above high A ball right now. Mm, he did regress just a little bit here this year. Stuff drops and he regressed in potential stars, but not terribly alarming. I would like to get him to double A at some point this year, so I think I probably could do that now. He is unhappy, so it's probably smart to do that. He is pitching well. I'll go ahead and do that. It just makes kind of sense. He's unhappy. He's pitching well. He regressed a little bit here in high A, so maybe it's just because he's unhappy. Whatever reason, we can maybe change his happiness and see how he does in double A. At 22 years old, it's about right. And then one more is Arturo Peralta, another pitcher. We just got him in the international free agency, but he is a top 100 prospect. Apparently has a low scouting report. So, not much to report on him, but he is there, top 200 prospect. I'll stop there. There's some other ones down here, but this is getting pretty long, and these guys are a long ways away from Major League Baseball, except for the pitcher that we signed this year and are currently using in our rotation because of the injuries. Other than that, there are some ones that are far away. I was looking at trading Alfredo Gazar, but he has absolutely no one wanting him, and I get that. He just never developed fully. He's 26 years old, so unfortunately, he's just going to be a missed prospect, I think, at this point, as a international free agent signing in 2027. And this is just kind of where his profile is sat at for several years now, and I just can't bring him to the majors like that. But that is our farm system update, really heavy on pitching. So we need to, one, look at maybe adding some more depth on the offensive side, whether that's by trading a pitching prospect or just doing it through drafts or whatever you whatever you want to call it, the international free agency, the draft, or trades. Just adding a little bit more depth to our prospects on the offensive side. I feel like we're lacking a little bit there. Whereas pitching, we're really, really heavy on pretty solid pitching prospects. So I have no concerns with our future in the rotations here and the bullpen. So that's where we are at, guys. And yeah, let's finish out before the All-Star break and get to the first year player draft. And we did get another injury, and that's Dong Hyun Im. It is just a day-to-day status. However, it is mild shoulder inflammation, and it's going to take about 2 weeks of recovery time. So I'm just going to go ahead and put him on the IL. It does affect his throwing moderately, so there's absolutely no point in letting him play. It affects it moderately for 2 weeks. So the IL is 15 days. So just one more day than the 2 week mark. So it just makes sense to put him on the IL for now and try to fill that spot. Middleton is still recovering. It looks like he'll be back tomorrow. And we still have no update on Camden Koziel. It's been a couple of days since we looked at that. Still no update. And we have not been playing well. We've lost the first 2 games in July. So hopefully the remaining 6 games before the All-Star break are much better results. And I know we said we just went through and said we had all these prospects for our starting pitching lining up. Unfortunately, none of them are ready right now. They are all like a year or two away. And as far as pitchers in the minors that have the stamina to be a starter and have more than 2 or 3 pitches, Josh Stephan is our option, and he's 32 years old, but has been in our minor league system for a while. Pitched in Colorado and had, I guess, good numbers for Colorado. There was a year he had a 3.9 ERA, so he has decent league average stuff, or league average ratings besides his stuff. So I'm gonna give him a shot and hope that his ground baller type pitches can hold us over for a couple weeks and allow Mr. Him to come back off the injured list and back into the rotation. So I'm going to slide Stefan in the rotation and go from there. So I'm going to make one more move. Alexis Loretto. I'm not going to let this go on any longer. It was pitching better, and then I guess he's not pitching better. It's just not getting any better really. He was doing well, and then it's just kind of plateaued. So he still has an option year left, and I'm gonna go ahead and use that option and bring up someone else that I've been wanting to give a shot to. And right now, Loretto is the low man on the totem pole as far as ERA, and has pitched just as many innings as almost everyone else, more than some in some cases. So it's just time to go ahead and move him back. Unfortunately, I'll have to take a look, but that might give us only 2 lefties in the bullpen. Let me take a look real quick before I do this. That's another lefty. Oh no, it's a 1-for-1 swap. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna bring up our Joe Jones. He is a 12th round draft pick back in 2028, and he is going to make his major league debut. He's not pitching well in AAA at all. However, he's very unhappy down there, and Sierra suggests he's doing a lot better, and he's got just stuff that I think would play up here in a limited role, like a setup man or something like that. So we're gonna give him a shot and see what happens, and see if we can't boost this bullpen a little bit and get this team back on track. We did send it ahead, and we're now 0-3 in the month of July, but we did get our result back for Camden Koziel. He is going to be out for 2 weeks with a strained back, so going to go ahead and move him over to the IL. Also, what popped up was Mike Flores, who is having a pretty solid season for us. Unfortunately, he is also pending an upper body injury. Hopefully, it's just a day-to-day thing. Doing really well for us in the outfield, corner outfield to be exact. But yeah, hopefully it's nothing serious. He's hitting well, 285, 6 home runs, 31 RBIs, and a 138 WRC plus in 53 games. So yeah, let's hope it's nothing serious. He does have a history of injuries. He was out for the first part of this year with shoulder bursitis for 5 weeks. So we definitely need him to figure this out and quit getting hurt so much because he's got a great profile, gets on base a lot, and still can hit. So we will check in on that in a minute. And with the injury, we have called up Steve Geiger. Just going to make a spot for him here, put him on at third base, and go from there. See if his bat plays. His bat's playing really well in AAA. He's not going to cover off the ball. Hopefully, that can transition to the major leagues and give our offense the boost that it needs. And we did get the diagnosis for Mike Flores. It is a strained rib cage muscle. He's day to day for 2 to 3 weeks with a minimum influence on hitting and running. I'm gonna leave him in and let this play out. It's probably not the right call, but the guy stays hurt. So good news is we've won the last 2 games. So we won the series versus New York. Took 2 out of 3 from them at home. I'm hoping maybe I can win this series against Baltimore. There'll be a 3-day off day for Mike Flores, and then get him back full strength, kind of going into that Philly series. So that's the hope. And yeah, I'm just gonna roll the dice with him and leave him in since the minimum influence, and he's hitting well for us. So we'll see if it really does impact him or if it doesn't. So I'll stay tuned for that. But let's finish up the last few games before the All-Star break. We have made it to the All-Star break, and when I say made it, I mean we limped into the All-Star break. Won 2 games so far in July. We are 2-6, and it is not pretty. We are now 47-43 going into the All-Star game, 5.5 games back of our division leaders, the Detroit Tigers, and we are currently a game and a half back from the last wild card spot. So very competitive wild card and division. So we definitely need to step it up a little bit in the second half. Couple of bright spots is Matt Simbrat is just continuing to pitch well, a 2.95 ERA. And then Josh Steffen has done his job, I would say, in his one start. Not terrible, so he will get another start before our Hwen comes back off the IL, and we'll see where he is at from there. The pitching has improved since we last looked into it. Everyone was over a 5 ERA except for Alvarado and Simbrat. Now they're all in the 4s, and Steffen being at 1 start at 3.18. As far as the moves we made in the bullpen, Steve Reeves, we moved him into the setup role, and he has still done well, a 2.7 ERA, so he is proving to be much better in that spot. We called up Joe Jones, who has pitched in 1 game, had pitched 3 innings, and he gave up no runs. So a very good start to his major league career. Marquise Best ended the first half at a .47 ERA in 29 games. And very impressive first half. Just not getting a lot of reps. I would like a little bit more, but I guess the lefty specialist is not getting reps because we're not facing lefties in those situations. I don't know. Jim Barry, 4.5 ERA, not great. Wheeler's ERA has come down a little bit. It's down to a 4.22, so he's trending in the right direction. William Schmidt, unfortunately, is trending in the wrong direction. His ERA is almost up to a 5, and his walk rate is a 4.9. So might be looking at changing out setup man again. That the control has always been his issue, and it might be time to move on from Schmidt, being that he's arbitration eligible next year, going to get about $3 million. So, with the pitchers that we have in the minor leagues, I think I could probably move on from him at the trade deadline. But we will see what is out there. He's just been consistently in the fours his entire career, and we need a little bit more from him. I just don't think we're going to get it at this point. So that's where we're at. I'll give you a quick update. Mason Davis, 254, 16 home runs still. He hasn't homered since the last time we checked in on him. Dakota Meredith's kind of been a bright spot, 272, 11 home runs and 40 RBIs out of our DH role. Danny Fouts hitting 301 with no home runs, but he does have 26 stolen bases and 24 doubles and 25 RBIs and scored 60 runs and almost has as many walks as he does strikeouts. So he's getting on at almost a 400% or a 400 clip with a 120 WRC. So he's a very, very good leadoff hitter for us. Jorge Rivera, 273, 12 home runs. Vicente Jasso, 299, 14 home runs, 43 RBIs. Flores is still hanging in there at 276, 6 home runs. Isaac Cardenas has 12 home runs, but is only hitting 222. Steve Geiger, who we just called up, has played in 3 games, has a 300 average. No home runs yet, but very good start for Mr. Geiger since we have called him up. And that's kind of the rundown of the team, kind of the down and dirty highlights. Definitely need something a little bit more in the second half. As far as all-stars, we did get a few all-stars. There they are. So the first all-star was, no surprise, Matt Simbrat as our starting pitcher, the 2.95 ERA. Next was Vicente Jasso. Again, no surprise, hitting almost 300 Gold Glove type stuff, a 140 WRC plus. He's definitely an all-star. And then we also had Mason Davis getting selected to the All-Star game, most likely because of his defense and his popularity. But he also isn't having a terrible season, a 110 WRC plus, hitting only 254. But again, he kind of lives between 250 and 270 for his career and has that 16 home runs and 14 stolen bases. So hopefully he can pick up the home runs in the second half and get back to that 30 mark. But it might not happen again. But he's still having a great year. This is his 4th All-Star selection. He has 4 Gold Gloves, and he also won the Rookie of the Year. And hopefully wins a roll of Gold Glove this year to make it 5. And he will be 28 years old by the end of the season and the start of next season. He'll turn 29 during the season next year. So he's approaching his 30-year mark. And crazy to think we only have 3 more seasons after this with him that are obligated. The rest are team options. So we will have decisions to make at that time. We will see how much his ratings hold up and how long they hold up. So that is where we're at. I am not going to go into the draft with you guys on this episode. This one got extremely long on me, extremely quickly, and I apologize. I did want to get to the draft in this episode. But in the next one, I will go through the draft and we will see if we can find those hidden gems, those offensive players, since we have so many pitchers that are coming up through the system and are a year or 2 away and are going to start feeding our major league team rather quickly. So I think it's a good time to try and find offensive players. But at the end of the day, if there is a good pitcher available, I will also not turn them down. It's just a matter of prioritizing the offense a little bit more in this draft maybe. But we will see how it plays out and see what is available when it is our turn to turn in our index card and pick our player. So with that, I appreciate you guys watching and I will see you all in the next one. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will catch you later.